Katrina Johnson from New Sky Consulting, and you're watching the Cat Sync channel, supporting young people with disabilities to live their best and brightest life. Now, welcome to series part 3 of a series of blogs all around the NDIS. And in this blog, it's time for me to start sharing the top 3 tips of what you can do to start getting ready for the NDIS. So in Queensland, the National Disability Insurance Scheme will start to roll out in July 2016. And it's not just service providers that need to be getting ready for the NDIS, it's also families and people with disabilities as well. Now, whether you already have a package of support, you're going to need to move into the NDIS space, or if you're considering becoming a participant of the NDIS and getting funded supports for the very first time, you need to think about how you start to better prepare yourself for the introduction of the system. And the smoother you can make it, the better it is for both you and the person you support or your family member with a disability. Now, I'm the type of person who really likes to have a plan. I'm the type of person that likes a task list, action plans. I like to set goals, and I like to have a series of strategies and action plans about how I get from where I am now to where it is I'd really like to be. I really enjoy that stuff, and having that gives me a sense of calm and confidence and a sense of knowing where I'm going and what could be, what could work for me. So being that kind of person, I know how it feels when you're faced with a challenge or you're faced with something new and you just don't quite know where to start, and you don't really know what the first steps will be. So I know that getting ready for the NDIS for families and people with disabilities can probably feel at times a lot like that, not knowing exactly where to start and what the first steps are. So I'm hoping today I'm able to give you just that starting point that you need and a few ideas of what you can do and what I think are the top 3 things to do to start heading in the direction and moving into NDIS world. Now, the 3 tips I have for you, the good news is that they're quite simple, and they are getting in the know, starting to talk about your needs, your goals and your aspirations, and thirdly, researching services and getting an idea of how it is you would like to be supported. Now, let's break each of these up, and we'll start with talking about getting in the know. By reading this, I know that you're already in that space of having to or wanting to know more about the NDIS, and I'm really glad that you found your way here, and I really do hope that I can help you to get started. But I know that it's probably a big question of yours is, well, what do I focus on, and where is it that I actually start in this process and in this journey of getting in the know? Because there is a lot of information out of there, and some of it's a lot easier to understand than others. And to be perfectly honest, the more you learn about the NDIS, the more there is to learn and understand about the NDIS. So it's a lot like you don't know what you don't know until you know. And once you know, you realise how much more there is to know about what you don't know. So the trick, I guess, is to understand that it's a process and you don't need to know everything straight away. You probably just need to know where to start and how to get moving, and then you need to know the next step and the next step and the next step. So the trick is to find that one starting point. How do I access information? Well, I suggest you start with a couple of primary sources of information, and by that I mean your formal sources, your experiences and experiences of other people, and your informal sources. So I want to give you my top go-tos for those different sources. The first one is your formal sources, and here I would recommend governments, websites and service providers. So I've already given 2 websites that I think are really good places to start, and I will recommend those as the best ones to go to, and they are the NDIS website itself and Every Australian Counts. And the links to those are also below, so you can just click on those when you're finished here to access those, and you can subscribe to those, so they'll send you updates too. Also look at your service providers, so have a chat to them and go to their websites and see what it is they're saying about the NDIS as well. The other one is people's experiences. Now, I have found YouTube fabulous for this. YouTube has started to have a lot of people's presentations on the NDIS pop up, and I've particularly enjoyed watching and listening to parents of people with disabilities, in particular parents of young people with disabilities, because that's the space that CATS works in supporting young people in post-school. And I found 2 particular YouTube videos very helpful in that. And one was a father talking about his experience with his son with autism, and the other were 2 mums who were talking about their experience with their sons who were looking at being supported in accommodation together. I've listed them below. Have a watch of those and learn from their experiences of moving through the process of NDIS and what they had to do. The other one is there's a lot of workshops around at the moment that are being offered free to people with disabilities and their families to help them think about and get ready for the NDIS. Now, they're in a range of regions, and I would suggest that you see what's close by to you and try and attend some of those if you can. And if you can't, contact the organisers. Let them know you're interested and see if they can send you information or send you presentation information so that you can have a look at that stuff in your own time. So they're my top go-tos about getting informed to get you started on being informed. I absolutely love the website, internet for that, and I really do love the YouTube for that, because you can do it at your own time, at your own leisure, in your own home, when it best suits you. Give it a go. My second big tip, not third, second, my second big tip was to start talking about goals, needs, and aspirations. Now, it really is important to get your head into that space because this stuff informs the ever important the plan under NDIS. So when you want it, when doing that, here's some questions to ask yourself and to think about. And the first one is, well, what are they doing now? What's the person with the disability doing now? What's their daily life like? What are they doing on a daily basis or a weekly basis? And where do they go? And who are they going with? And how are they being supported to do all that right now? What's working out of those things? The next thing you might want to ask yourself is, well, what are their dreams for the future? Whoops. So what are their dreams for the future? And when we're talking dreams, we're talking about what are their work dreams? What are their relationship dreams? What are their accommodation dreams? What do they want to do with their life? What are they passionate about? What are they good at? What do they enjoy? What are their gifts and talents and strengths? They're all things to start thinking about and talking about. The last thing you might want to ask yourself is, what are the care needs that the person has? So do they have personal care needs? Do they need assistance with feeding, toileting, communication, social support needs, social skills? Where do they need specific support needs? Health needs. What are their current health needs? What sort of health issues are they having now that they need particular supports around? And what are some health needs that we think they may or possibly will have in the future that we may know because of their disability? And how do we need to plan for that care need? What are their transport needs? So how are they currently accessing the things that they're doing. Do they need transport assistance? Are they currently being transported by a service provider? Are they currently being transported by a family member? If the formal supports or a service provider can't provide transport or it's not funded, how would your family and the person with a disability, how would you get out and about and around? What supports could you use for that? These are all things to start thinking about. And when you start talking about those things, you'll find that that will really help set you up and inform you when it comes time to making notes and writing down and starting to write a plan. My third big tip was research. Start researching supports and services that are out there and around you. So now that you've had a chance to talk about and dream about goals and aspirations and needs, it's really time to start thinking about the types of services and supports that will best support you to make those things happen. So for many of you, you're probably already accessing services or receiving support from a range of service providers. You might be getting some centre-based support. You might be getting support to be out and about to do stuff in the community. You might be supported in groups, or you may be supported individually. Or you could be actually getting a combination of these types of supports and the range, and I think when you're looking at those types of supports, it's acknowledging that different models of support and different styles of support will best serve you at different times in your life and for different aspects of achieving life goals. So it might be that a group environment works well for something, but really not very well for something else, and individual stuff really needs to happen. So when you're looking at your goals, aspirations, and all of that, think about what service type, what service model would best make those goals and aspirations happen for the person with a disability. Best fit is really important too. You need to be thinking about what's a really good fit for you and your family, and what kind of service do you want to work with. Under the NDIS, it's very important that parent carers and people with a disability have a good understanding of what's available, what's out there, and what they do, and who they support, and how different service providers support people. That's going to be increasingly more important under the NDIS, because there is an expectation and an understanding that people with disabilities and their families are going to be more responsible and have more control over choosing the service that they think will best support their goals and aspirations. So you need to know what's out there and what's available. Explore. Don't just look at what you're currently getting. Look around you and see what else is available. When you're looking at what's available, there's a couple of ways you can start to do this. Again, the internet's a fantastic resource. Have a look at all the websites of the different services around you. Really use the internet as a good research tool. You can contact the services directly and ask them to send you information, and ask them questions over the phone as well. I'm pretty confident that any service you contact would be more than happy to send you information about the services that they provide. If you're not sure what services are in your area, you can get resources, and there are places you can go to find out what is available in your local community. Some good places to start with this is your local council, the Department of Communities and Disability Services, or even service providers that you're currently connected to. They'll know what's out there. They'll know what other services are in the area, and they will be able to give you a list or some places that you might like to explore further as well. A good thing too is also to talk to the people you have in your own personal networks and finding out the services that people you know are already accessing, and talking to them about their experiences and what they know and who else they know of as well. So really drawing on the networks around you and what they know is always valuable. And when you are talking to service providers, sometimes you wonder, well, what am I supposed to be asking for? So here's some things you can ask for. Ask them for brochures about their service and the supports they provide. Ask them for their web page details if they have any, or any other online um, channels they may have, so that you can go and have a good look around at what they do. Facebook is a great way to see what services are doing, because it often has their day-to-day stuff up there, showcasing the different things that they do. Ask them what types of services they offer. So if you're interested in, say, community support, ask them about that. If you're interested in skills development, ask them about that. So be specific about what it is you're looking for, and ask them what they do in that area. Ask them about their specific programs. Do they have specific programs, and what are they? What are the criteria for accessing those, and what are the outcomes that they provide? Don't forget to ask for any information on fees or charges, because they may be relevant to whether you will access the service or not. And also ask about policies of interest. The sorts of things that I think are things to flag are: how do you handle confidentiality? How do you handle complaints and feedback? And how do you go about staffing arrangements? Where do you get your staff from, and what are some of the things that they have to have in order to work for your organisation? So there's a starting base for what to ask services when you're talking to them. I'm going to be doing quite a large series of blogs around service providers and researching and trying to find that best fit service for you, coming up in a few months. So keep an eye out for that, and subscribe to us so that you get information about what's coming up too. So to summarise, the NDIS is coming in one form or another. We don't quite know exactly how it's going to look, but what we can count on is that people with disabilities and their families are going to need to be starting to think about how they get ready for it, and how they get informed, and how they take some of their own personal responsibility and their own personal journey towards being ready and knowing what to ask for, and knowing what it is that they need, and their aspirations and goals as well. So there's no expectation, though, that you're going to have to be all knowing about the future. There is no crystal ball. There's no expectation that you're going to know what's needed in years and years and years to come in the future. Things change. Nothing stays the same forever for any of us. But we do need to start giving it thought, giving it energy, and creating some visions, because it gives us a platform and a starting point to start to actually move forward, to actually have an idea of what it is we need to progress goals. So no crystal ball, but yes, a fair idea of what it is where we'd like to be. And we do that, I guess, by getting informed, by thinking about the future, and then by researching the types of services that we feel would best serve us as individuals in making it a smoother transition and a really positive outcome for all. That's all from me today. I think I've bantered on long enough, but now I would like to hear from you. How is it that you like to research about services and supports? How do you like to find out what's out there? Do you prefer to have a look around on the internet, or do you like to make those face-to-face or chat-to-chat conversations with service providers? Let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget too that we do have a free ebook called the NDIS and You, and it just gives a broad outline of what the NDIS is, and then a page of tips that you can do to move towards the NDIS and get yourself ready, and start to prepare and plan. So that's available by clicking on the free ebook link below, and I really do hope you do. And once you do, don't forget that once you have that, you're also then able to give me a call and ask me any questions you might have about the NDIS, and I'll help you wherever I can. So that's all from me today. So have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, all of us, we all deserve to live our best and brightest life. Bye for now.